One.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adatone Musa.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hussein Musa.
Welcome to Healing Talks with Kingdom Docs.
I'm a board-certified anesthesiologist, pain doctor, and addiction medicine specialist.
I'm a board-certified epilepsy specialist and neurologist.
And we've been talking about the health benefits of trusting God.
Absolutely. In the previous episodes, we had talked about really just acquiescing and surrendering to God's will in your life. That can translate to many different things. But we really have been focusing on God's timeline. You know God has promised you something, but you don't know when that's going to manifest in your life.
I look back at the Bible and look at in the Exodus, the Israelites, they were given literally the promised land, and they didn't know when they were going to enter it. And they were wandering. And a lot of times when I read that story, I look at their unbelief and their worry prevented them from entering the promised land. It actually prevented them from entering God's rest.
Yeah.
Your worry can rob you of God's promise.
Yeah, and the root of all that is unbelief, or in some other translations, disbelief. And it's really the opposite of, it's almost you trying to undo what you know God has told you is possible.
Yes, and as I mentioned before, most things that we worry about never come to pass. And if you're a parent, there's always one of us who seems to be the hovering parent, who's watching their kids walk in places they're not supposed to walk, pick up things they're not supposed to pick up, eat things they're not supposed to eat. And we worry about what's going to happen. And the amazing thing that is a miracle to me every day is that my children, they survive and they thrive. And so many, especially boys, they've survived childhood.
Yeah, they do. Despite all of their good and bad ideas, they survive.
See, I have this theory with little boys. Maybe it pertains to men. I don't know. I'm not going to say this too much, but boys, little boys especially, they don't really have this roadblock between thought and action. It's just this one continuum, and they find out if a thought is good or bad based on the consequences.
Yeah, so there's no premeditation, no filter, nothing, right? But you know what? They do grow up, and I love our boys. I think they keep us young and they keep us active, and I thank God every day because we're actually living in an answered prayer. We have 3 boys. I have my husband here who is ministering the Word of God. All of these things are answered prayers. And if you realize that, and you realize that you start to thank God, you start to live in the moment, in the present time, rather than being preoccupied with what you could have done better, which is really guilt.
Yes, and we're talking about how worry is not trusting God. And at least for us, we have lessons every day in life through our children that teaches us not to worry. Because kids, they're going to be kids. They're going to get dirty. They're going to scrape their knees. They're going to do some very interesting things. But God really gets them through. And with all my worry, all my nagging, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, they still survive. And they would still do well even if I didn't worry. So as I've matured as a parent, my worry level has started to go down because I'm just giving it to God. And when you give it to God, my heart's not beating fast. I'm not running without stretching because that gets dangerous after a certain age. But you trust God.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really increases your quality of life. In the next episode, we're going to talk more about worry and trusting God, unbelief versus faith. Visit us at Kingdom Docs for more information.
God bless.
Bye-bye.